I just have to make a video about this.
But why?
Because no one else can. You thought I was going to do a Nolan reference, but no. We're going Burton with this one.
Intro!
The Batman. Hey guys, welcome to the couch. Okay, so today I didn't really know what my video was going to be about, but then I read on Facebook today was the 75th anniversary of Batman. And to appeal in the musicals part of my life, the 75th anniversary of Wizard of Oz is coming up. So essentially, two of my favorite things, superheroes and musicals, started 75 years ago in 1939. So for me, I think 1939 was the year. Except for that whole World War II starting thing. Ugh. But we're not here to talk about American history, we're here to talk about Batman. Unless you consider Batman American history, but besides the point. So I'm going to use this video to talk about the influence that Batman has had on my life. First experience with Batman that I can really remember was when I was about 4. I was watching Batman Forever when it was time for nap time at my babysitter's house. And I remember really liking it, and for as long as I can remember, Batman has been a part of my life. And I remember playing the Lego video game. I remember for 2 art projects they were Batman themed. And I recently, like within the past year, I watched all the Nolan films all the way through, and I really, really like them. And Batman has just always followed me around through my life. On a more topical note, let's talk about the graphic novels first. So the first time I really realized that Batman was a really dark character is I opened a comic book that I bought, and I thought it was just going to be fun Schumacher, basically. And one of the first panels was a guy being thrown into an Iron Maiden. Now I know that Iron Maidens really didn't exist. Quick history lessons, Iron Maidens didn't actually exist. But in that moment of seeing that panel, I realized, whoa, Batman isn't just for kids. So I read 2 of the graphic novels, and I'm reading one of them now. I read The Long Halloween, which I really liked, and I think The Dark Knight got a lot of its source material from that. I really like The Killing Joke. It's one of the best Joker stories ever, and it's fantastic. And then I'm reading Dark Knight Returns right now. I hear it's really good. I'm still getting into reading it, but it's pretty good from what I've read so far, so I suggest you guys check out some of the comics. Now let's talk about the animated series. I only have the first season on disc, but if you have Amazon Prime at your disposal, I just suggest you check it out because the entire series is on there. I saw the first season and a few episodes of the others of season 2, and I really like it. It has a really interesting tone and style and animation. It won a couple Emmys, and it's totally deserved because from what I saw, it's a really good, really solid series. Now let's go on to the movies. So Walmart has this deal that you can get the 4 Batman movies from the 80s and 90s for $10. And if that's going on at a store near you, I think you should get it. It's not as good as the Nolan ones, but they're nice to have. They're really nostalgic. The one I don't have is the 1960s Adam West Batman movie, and that's really dated. I love the shark spray. I love 4 of them. They're gonna take over the entire world, and how they all turn into dust or liquid. I don't exactly remember. I haven't seen it in a while. But if you want to watch a movie that's just really ridiculous, it's not really Batman, but you can tell it's made in the 60s, and it's just kind of fun. First, Tim Burton's Batman. The first one, I really like. The first time I saw it on Netflix, and I really liked it. And some things are a little dated about it. Nothing comes to the top of my head, but it does feel a little off, especially with the Nolan ones that just came out. Those are exponentially better. But, as a Batman movie, it's pretty solid. I think you can watch today. If you've never seen it before and you just saw the Nolan ones, I think you wouldn't like it as much. But, Michael Keaton, I saw him first as Beetlejuice, and I thought that, I loved that performance. But then when I saw him as Batman, I was like, yeah, he's pretty good Batman, too. It's not really an origin story, which I really think is interesting. It's just kind of Vicky Vale's just trying to figure out what happened to Bruce Wayne. People don't really know that his parents died, and it's just kind of like a mystery that she's trying to figure out. And Jack Nicholson's pretty good as the Joker. I forgot to mention that. I know he's no Heath Ledger Joker, but good job, Jack. Now, Batman Returns. Batman Returns really feels like a Burton movie, so if you're a diehard Burton fan, then you're gonna really like this movie. But as a Batman movie, it's really weird. You can tell that Burton just had, free control on this one. I was playing the game 100 Picks with It's basically where you have to tap. You have to figure out what a picture is just by looking at a section of it. I got Catwoman's shoulder. I said, "Yep, Catwoman," and my friend was really freaked out. But it's Tim Burton. You can obviously tell when something's when at least he has some collaboration in it, and it's just really, really strange. Now the Joel Schumacher movies. Batman Forever I really liked as a kid. It was the first Batman movie I've ever seen. I'd have to watch it again to see if I still like it. And I'm going to be the nicest critic you'll ever see about Batman Forever. That's almost guaranteed. But it's really over the top, but I remember really liking it as a kid. And when you have a nostalgic attachment to something, even if it's bad, it's like getting a vaccination for it. Like, for example, so do you guys know in history when the winner of Valley Forge, George Washington didn't die of measles because he already had them as a kid, so he already had the immune system ready for it even though other soldiers were dying? That's kind of how I feel about Joel Schumacher movies, for the most part. Why did they give him Phantom of the Opera? That's basically like saying, "Hey, do you know that guy that directed Batman and Robin? Yeah, the Batman movie that everyone hates. What about him? Yeah, let's let him direct Phantom of the Opera." Which brings us to Batman and Robin. Since I had the Schumacher vaccine, I didn't really mind it as a kid. I just remember renting it on Netflix, and then after I saw it, it was like, well, that movie existed. Now I'll have to do something else. And it just kind of existed. But Uma Thurman bothered me more than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I wasn't really big with actors' names. It was just the portrayal of the character. It was just like Arnold Schwarzenegger was being Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just Poison Ivy was like, "And then Mother Nature will have her way." Even as a kid, I thought that was kind of stupid. Okay, so people pick apart this movie in almost every single aspect, but this is one nitpick that I found that no one else has noticed. Okay, in the security room scene in Batman and Robin, there are two costumes of the people from the last movie, the Riddler and Two-Face. But how did they get the Two-Face costume? Two-Face died at the end of Batman Forever. And it's kind of weird, the only person to die in both of the series of Batman movies was Two-Face. He's like the Sean Bean of Batman characters. Or the Star Trek Red Shirts. But yeah, Batman and Robin is stupid. Now let's talk about the Nolan Batman movies. Costume change. Go! Awesome. So Batman Begins came out in 2005. When I first saw it, I was about 6 or 7, and my first reaction was, "That was so boring!" You could tell I was a kid, because I had a high voice and I was wearing a hat. But then recently I saw Batman Begins again. Oh my gosh, Batman Begins is so good! Okay, origin stories are kind of wearing me out now, but Batman Begins nails Batman's origin. It's so cool, and the flashbacks are paced so well. And, I know it can be a little, boring, and you have to be really invested to watch it all. But if you can pay attention, it's such a good movie. It's my second favorite of the Nolan trilogy. Which brings me to my first, The Dark Knight. Yeah, you all saw this coming. So The Dark Knight first came out when I was in the 3rd grade, and my parents wouldn't let me see it for 3 years because I thought it was too scary. But when I saw it for the first time, I thought, "That wasn't scary!" But one day on TV, I saw this scene again. You see, this is how crazy Batman's made Gotham. He just needs to take off his little mask and turn himself in. And every day he doesn't, people will die. Starting tonight. I'm a man of my word. If you haven't seen the real scene, it's really scary. But in the Joker scene, the shaky cam actually works, and it's not like the Transformers movies when it looks like it's filmed by epileptic Muppets. Hey, look at me, I'm filming the test footage for Transformers 5! Yay! That was a tangent. And then I saw the movie again all the way through on a plane, and I loved it. And now I watch it over and over again, and it's just fantastic. Now, The Dark Knight Rises. The way I feel about Dark Knight Rises is the way I feel about Brave. It's a good movie, it's just not a great Pixar movie. And that's kind of what I feel about Dark Knight Rises. It's a good movie, just not a good Nolan movie. And the more I thought about it, it really felt like Iron Man 3, or since Dark Knight Rises came out first, Iron Man 3 kind of feels like Dark Knight Rises. First of all, it's the 3rd installment where the theme is, the man behind the mask is more important than the mask itself. Second of all, there's a huge terrorist in the movie with also a twist villain at the very end. Third of all, this is the first movie where Batman has a female partner and they both fight at the very end, like Iron Man 3. And they do something at the end which stops them from being Iron Man or Batman. Sort of. I'm not sure about Iron Man. And both have things called a clean slate. But all in all, Dark Knight Rises is pretty decent. I think it's the weakest of the trilogy, but they're all pretty solid overall. In conclusion, Batman has a huge influence on my life. I'm really excited to see where they go with the character in Batman v Superman and the standalone Batman's films in the future. So my question to you guys is, how do you feel about Batman, and what characters have had a great influence on your life? And the message to Mr. Bob Kane:
You are my number one guy.
please subscribe below, and thank you for watching.